Okay, so far we've seen quite a lot, right? We've made a lot of progress tonight. So we've seen a lot of like widget layout, or those three phases of building a UI. Create the widgets, lay them out, and hook up event handlers. And then we saw, once you've done all of that, you've got a UI and you click on stuff and it does stuff on the client side, but then you want to talk to the server because there's a whole bunch of interesting functionality and business logic that's on the server. And so we augmented our service, which still has the airline stuff, and if I want to take an extra 5 minutes to clear anything out, clear all this stuff out, I would, but I want to focus on important stuff. So we've got like the remote service, and so we saw how on the client side you have the async, and then you send objects that have to be serializable over to the server, and then what's returned from the server also has to be serializable. And then it's all delivered to your code, though, in things that look like Java objects. So we're going to go back to writing a little bit more of our UI, because right now we've got this really nice UI for entering entering a level, and you click play, and we go and create the level, but now we need to play the level. So I'm going to modify my code here, say, okay, on success. Well, instead of just like taking the level and drawing it to an alert, I'm going to have a method which is like play game. Okay, awesome. Gonna create that out here. Oh my lord, what does this do? Okay, so I'm gonna take a step back. I'm gonna literally to the drawing board, and I'm gonna say, okay, great. So I've got that thing over on the right, and that's what I used to edit it. And now I want to play it. And let's see here. It's gonna be a screen, and I'm going to have just a text box again. Okay, which is going to be my board, and so it's going to be whatever I drew on it. There. It's going to be my level, so it's going to have Pac-Man in it, and they're going to be dots. And okay, and I want to have like the score, which is probably like the number of dots that I need. And so I'll start off with 0, and this can just be a label. And I want to be able to move Pac-Man. So I'd like to use the arrow keys. I spent like an hour last night trying to get the arrow keys to work. And if this is a text area, arrow keys, the browser doesn't let you do what I want. So I'm going to use instead. I'm going to use the VI keys, right? So the H, the J, the K, and the L for left, up, down, and right. So what am I going to do? So what I want to do is I want to say, okay, listen, like when I type H, I want to move Pac-Man to the left. And the logic for moving Pac-Man and computing the score and things like that all resides on the server. So what do I need to do to implement all of that? Let's look at the UI first. What do I need to do in the UI to draw this UI? Like what widget classes am I going to need? What layouts? Text box again, or okay, text box, text area, and I want to be read only.
Need a label of some sort, right?
Yeah, label here. Layout.
Another panel for the layout.
Yep, and let's see here, what kind of panel? A dock layout? Hey, it could be right here. Hey, both of them could have been a vertical layout. I like dock layout. I think every size is nicer. Yeah, actually, if I did a vertical layout, we'd probably have like the score, divide the screen in half, and the score would have a whole bunch of stuff. So I think we want dock layout, and so then this is the north. And this is the center. And then here, in order to capture the keys, I'm going to add a key press handler or something like that. Handler. Okay. Oh, and one more thing. No. Okay, so it fell off. when I click play, I don't want to see that UI anymore. I want to see this UI. And actually, let's have an edit button also to go back. So edit level. Let's have an edit level button. Just put this out to go back to the editor. That's ultimately what I want. I don't know if we're going to get all this tonight. Okay. So, really, this looks like a different class than that. That was the level editor. Now I want a class called level player to do this. So I want something different. But they kind of all live in the same visual space on the screen, right? I don't want to have, I could have them side by side, I suppose, but I don't want to see the editor while I'm playing and vice versa. So I think I need them to be in the same container, and I need a container that only shows one of his children at a time. Does anyone remember what you call those in GWT? Deck layout, right. Like a deck of cards, which I guess only makes sense, it's like you got a deck of cards and you just put a different card on top. So this dude and that dude both need to be in a deck layout. Oh yeah, sorry, deck panel, right.
Why don't you make the play just a separate web page, a separate entry point?
Why isn't it a separate web page? Well, that's a very good question. GWT applications, there is only one web page,
Well,
right?
I mean, URL, just be like.
You could do that, and then you would have to reload all your JavaScript again. It's not the best user experience. What you can do is, I won't go into it tonight, but there is a history, is that what they call it? There's a feature of GWT that, when you do certain operations, you can add an anchor to the URL.
Oh.
And then when you load, and that will sort of tell you where in your application you reside. And then you can use the back button to go back to the previous anchor. And then when the back button, basically what happens is that when you go back in the browser, you then receive a callback saying, well, now you're at this location, and then you can render however you want. So you probably, when you do it for real, that's probably what you'd want to do. We don't have time to do it for real tonight, so instead we'll use a deck layout. But yeah, that's good. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say, okay, great. I'm going to write some classes. This is going to be my level player, as in something that plays, not a multiplayer game. I'm gonna have a deck layout. I'm gonna call it just Pac-Man game or something like that. Man game, which is the deck layout. Ultimately, this is going to be the thing that goes in the root panel, and it's going to have a level editor and a level player. It's going to start out displaying the level editor. Then it's going to create the level player. Okay, well, it's clear in my mind anyway, and I hope I can make it clear in your minds too. Okay, I'm going to come back to my play game a little late. Well, yeah, I could do it. No, I'm going to come back to it a little bit later. Okay, so here in the kata, sort of the main. Oh, by the way, okay, we don't need this ping service stuff anymore. Let's just get rid of that. All we need is the root panel. And instead, I guess we're doing the service from it. Well, okay, fine. We don't need this thing. We don't need this stuff anymore. Instead of the level editor, we're going to have what I call a Pac-Man game. Okay, Pac-Man game. Oops. Create this class in that package. Add it to Git. It takes the service because I'm going to pass it on to its children. So Pac-Man game. What was it complaining about? Never used. Say what? What did I do wrong here? That's messed up. So this guy is going to be, is in the right package? Yeah. Huh. This guy is going to extend dock layout, dock panel. Wow, what is the problem?
Is it because that guy needs to return
Yeah, it already exists. What? Okay.
You can pile it, it'll go away.
Maybe?
Sometimes you can pile it.
That's really weird. No, I totally can't find it. And Pac-Man game, public class, public. Okay, that is super screwy. We're going to try over again. Oh, we put it in test. Well, that's why. Wow, that was weird. How did it do that? And now I completely lost it. Where'd it go? Oh, I put like a child of it or something? So I did. Okay, well, forget you. Okay, that was completely unusual. Create class. Yeah, don't put it in test. Weird. Okay. Okay, now it's happening. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm going to make this guy extend the dock panel. And I am going to add to myself a new level editor service. Let's see, am I running? I am running. I should be able to just reload this. I don't think I changed anything on the server side. Just thinking about it. Oh, it blew up. This panel does not support zero argument. Oh, that's right. So in a dock panel, you need to deck panel. Sorry. Dock deck. Oopsie. That would be the Czech spelling of it. Deck panel. There we go. Now are you happy? Ooh, I don't see it. Because I didn't do show widget at index 0. I'm going to put that into a constant, which is level editor index. Do I have a? Nope, I can't say add a specific index. Okay, let's try this again. Yay, there it is. Okay, cool. Okay, I think I should commit while I'm ahead. Okay. So then introduce a Pac-Man game class that holds the level editor. Okay. Going back to my level editor, I have that. Shoot, where'd it go? There we go. Play game. So what I want to do is from the editor, I want to tell the game. I want to tell my parent. It's like, oh hey, game, you know about you're smart enough to know how to display this level, how to play this level. You go figure it out. So what I want to say is I want to say parent.playgame level. And here parent is going to be create a new field. Parent is going to be not a level editor. Not a level editor, but a Pac-Man game. And I need to add a constructor parameter. I'm going to make it the first one, because why not? And now, oops, what doesn't look like in level editor? Oh yeah, it needs to add this. Get that. And then when and then the parent is this, in this case. Okay. Okay, so now, like, the editor is telling the parent, hey, go play the game. What is it going to do? It needs to then tell the level player to play the game. Okay. So now I need to add new child, which is a level player. Let's make sure it's creating the test again. Yes, I want to add that to Git, and this is going to now be our old friend, the dock layout. dock panel, and I'm going to say, oh, and now I need to go say, put this into a field, call it player, and now I'm going to say player dot display level, and then yeah, we'll get there. And I also want to show it, and so show. Oops. Oops. Add player, and then I also want to have. I want level player index to be 1. Player index to be 1. And then I want to say show widget level player index. Okay, so what's going, and this is where it gets kind of interesting in GWT. You've got all these objects now, like our UI is getting bigger, right? And so you've got all these classes, and you've got widgets in the classes and everything like that. Now they need to communicate with each other. And we got to be careful about coupling between our objects. We don't want everybody to be aware of everybody else. And so what's happening here is that the editor is using its parent, the game, as sort of an intermediary, where it's like, hey, listen, and the editor's like, I don't know how to play this game. Parent, you know how to play this game, right? I'm going to go tell you to play this game. And the parent's like, okay, great, I know how to play this game. I'm going to go then tell my child, the player, hey, go display this board. Oh yeah, and I'm going to make the player visible because now the player's playing. Okay, let's see what it looks like in the UI. Thinking about it. Okay, simplest game is that right there. Save and play. Oh, debugging, forget it, you don't need to know. Debugging, you don't need to know. And you're seeing nothing, right? So let's try it again, I'll reload it. You're seeing nothing because we just went from displaying the editor to displaying the player's empty. But we saw the transition, right? And that's what that's what the deck layout did, where it's like, okay, I have a bunch of children, I'm only going to show one at a time. So I've got 2 children, I've got the player and I've got the editor. Initially I'm going to show the editor first, and then when the editor says go play the game, it tells me go play the game. I'm going to tell the player, hey, here's the game that you're playing, I'm going to show the player. Okay, so some nice progress there. Okay, so like when we display a level, what are we going to do? Well, now it's time to start filling in some of this stuff right here. So what are we going to do? We are going to do all that. Okay, so we need a text field. Okay, or a text area. Now let's just and let's create a field text area. This is it's going to be a text area. Why do you think I called it text area? Okay. And then I'm going to, this one is a dock panel. So level player is this dude right here. This is why it's like always draw your UI first. It's really easy to get confused, right? So this thing has the north, center, and the south. Okay, so the text area, and I'm going to initialize that in the constructor. So public dock panel, public level player. Add create text area to the center. Okay. Geez, do I need to do more than just this? I might eventually. I'm not really so worried about it right now. Okay, text area dot set text. Oh, I just want it to be read only. That's right. And so then text area set read only to true. Okay. So set the text. We want to write the level off to that. So we need to do that string builder thing again. SB equals new string builder, and then we say level write to draw to string builder SB set text equals SB.toString. Oops, grab this right here. Text area. Oh, and don't want that. We want this. Okay, let's see what this does. Hey! Oh, okay, it's kind of gangly looking. So, okay, almost. Okay, so, okay, right. What did we just do here? We added the text, so now we're looking at the player. We added the text area. Text area is too big. We didn't set the size to the size of the board, so we should do that. So, set text to that, but before we do that, we need to say text area dot set visible lines, which is the level dot get number of, I just want to have it get number of rows. Number of rows. We'll add this. Return this dot grid dot length. Yeah. Text area dot set character width level dot get number of columns. Add this guy. So here, this is kind of an interesting example. It's like, oh wow, we're getting to the point now we need to evolve our business logic, our classes to have functionality for our UI. Nothing wrong with that. It's sort of the nature of things. But it just kind of goes to show me that you can't always get it right the first time. Okay, so that should be good. Now this probably won't work because we'll need to restart the server. But maybe it will. Actually, that might be okay. Let's see if that works. Yeah, it did. Yay! Okay, and it probably did because what did I add that to? The level class on the server side. This is an interesting lesson. The level class on the server side has a different contract, right? It doesn't have that class because it hasn't been recompiled on the server side. But on the client side, because it was recompiled when I hit reload, it's okay. The data, the fields that are passed back and forth are the same. If I had added a new field to level, then it would have been compatible anymore. I think the serialization would have failed. Because let's say I added a name to the level or something like that, or I added a ghost or something like that, right? A name to the level, GPT would serialize it down and have this name. The server side would be like, what the hell is this name thing? Exception, blow up, blah, 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 blah. So, okay, this is pretty good right here. I kind of like it. I want to try a bigger 1, 3, 4, 5. Does that work? Yay. Oh, look, it's read only. Oh, and by the way, it's a fixed width font because I had put in the CSS to have it be a fixed width font. Okay. Excellent. Okay, good. Commit that. I'm happy when it's done. When it's happy. Okay. So display the level on a text field. Text area. Okay. No errors. Okay, now let's move Pac-Man. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, on our text area, and let's give it keyboard focus. Set focus true. Okay, text area dot add, not click handler, Dave. Add key press handler. New key press handler. Okay, so key press handler has one method on key press, and it gets something called a key press event. Okay, that's swell. What does key press event? That's way too long. Event. Okay, so what I really want is I want to know which character was pressed. So ultimately, I want character. I want key. So event dot get character code. Get Unicode character code. I think I just get character code. I just want basic ASCII. Okay, cool. So I've got that. So now I hit the key, and I then want to get the direction that the key is going in. So direction equals get direction from car key. create this dude. Switch key. So case, let's see here, H is going to be turn direction dot right. Case J, oops, J is going to be return direction dot up. Thank you. Oh, did I get that wrong? I left from right. Thank you. Case K is going to be return direction dot. Come on, babies. Direction dot down. Got it right finally. Thanks. And case L is going to be return direction dot right. And then default return null. So maybe hit some other key. Well, let's not pop up an error dialog or anything like that. Maybe you'd want to like beep or like, I don't know. I don't care. So, if direction equals level. Oh, I don't have level. So here's what I want to do next. I want to say, I've got two things. If my direction is different from where I'm currently facing, I want to tell the server, oh, I'm facing a different direction. If it's the same direction I'm already facing, I want to move forward. So that also is something that happens on the server. So I want to say if direction is the same as what I'm currently facing, and I think I need to then keep around Pac-Man, the current Pac-Man direction. So I will just say current direction, and I will create a field there in level player here, and hold that thought because I need to. Oops, hold that thought because I need to initialize it down here when I display the level. That's where I display it, and I say current direction equals level dot get Pac-Man dot get direction. Okay, so I say about the direction. If it's the current direction, then I want to tell the server, I want to say change direction. Change direction. Come back to that one. Oh, stop. Otherwise, I want to move forward. And I'm making these little methods because I think this code is much easier to read. If you have, methods that sort of like are short, all fit on one screen, and are named. So it's like, okay, read this, I can understand what it needs to do. If I need more details, fine, I'll drill down into it.
Should it be not equals or equals?
If it's oh yeah, you're totally right. Thank you. Okay, nice. Now, okay, so both of these, both move forward and change direction are going to require calls off to the server. So move forward. So call it to the server. I'm going to need the service again. Service, create my field. This is going to be a Pac-Man async. Pac-Man a service async. Service, we're going to add a constructor parameter. What? No. We're going to add a constructor parameter for the async. Default service, sure. Let's go double check just to see while it's fresh in my head. Yay, got it right. You're so smart, IntelliJ. And handsome. Yes. Okay. And okay, so now we got the service. And we're calling service move forward. And no arguments there. But what it'll do is it'll move forward, and then I want it to return me the new level. So I need a new asynchronous callback. Async callback. That returns me the level. Basically, it's like the new level. So all the work is done there on the server side to like figure that out. I'll implement the methods, blah, 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 blah. And on success, well, when I get a new one, I just want to display the level. Okay. On failure, I want to window.alert. No, I want window.alert throwable.getMessage. Okay. Go through all this rigmarole again, calling move forward. Yeah, we're so happy. Yeah. Oops. Yes, I like that. And then down here, yes, you don't implement that anymore. Yes. And now we just say, oh, aha. Sorry, there's one more thing that I forgot to do. Okay, now I don't have a level, so I need to go put this into a field. This is level. Okay, and now I'll just say, and return. Okay, level dot move Pac-Man forward, and then return level. Now, why do we need to return the level? Right? Why do we need to pass the level back? Because remember, this is the client and the server. There are two copies of that object, and so the client could hold on to the level. All holds on is the direction of Pac-Man, but right, it could have its own. But what you're doing is you're taking that object, you're essentially serializing, you're making a copy of an object on the server side. And so even though you change the state on the server side, the change on the state on the client isn't going to get updated. So you have to keep things in sync by passing stuff back and forth. Anyway, level move Pac-Man forward. Okay, so this guy's all happy. Actually, let's just see what this does. Now, I'm going to. Yeah, so okay, I changed stuff on the server, so I'm going to have to recompile the server. Okay. I hit H. Keyboard focus. I hit H. Ooh, it moved. See it? Okay. Okay. So that was move forward. Okay, right. So you see what I did there? I hit H. I'll walk. Actually, let's. I don't have the ability to turn around yet, though. Actually, am I smart enough? So if I have keyboard focus again, no, I don't move. Okay, we'll try it again. We'll get a little bit of running room here. Oh, I want more roll. Okay, so oops, keyboard focus. Stop. What was that all about? Okay, so move. Let's hit the debugger and see what's going on. Let's attach the debugger. We want on key press. Okay, so I registered my key press handler on the text area. It had keyboard focus, so set focus, forget it. So I get a car event, and so that key is an H. I go get my direction. The current direction is left. The new direction that I want to go is left. Great, now I'll change direction. Oh, sorry, I'll move forward. I call my service. I will go to the back end here, set a breakpoint on move forward. I'll just run to that point. Okay, great, I'm moving my Pac-Man forward. That updates my level. on the server side, I then send my send my level back to the client. Sorry, level player. Gotta make sure I hit the right thing there. Then I display my level, poof, and that's it. So that's how I move from place to place. Okay, let's finish this off by implementing change direction. Service.change, not set direction. Set direction, direction. And here's what I'm going to do. This is going to be exactly the same code. So I am going to turn this dude into a method called display level. And now I just need to do this and then display level. Oops. Display level with 0 arguments. Right there like that. So that makes it just much easier to read. Set direction. Create method there. Go through all this stuff. Oh yeah, that's just so awesome. Yeah. Okay. Complaint here. Oops. Create synchronous. Super happy. This guy. Blah 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 blah. And then level dot set. Oh, get pacman dot set direction. Direction. No. Direction. Turn level. So here I've got some server-side state, which is just like your airline. And I'm updating it in the GWT calls. So remember, this remote service servlet is a servlet. So just like your REST servlet in Project 4 holds on to some state. And then as the client makes calls on it, it updates that state and then returns information back to the client. Okay, so got to do this one more time. Do not want all these breakpoints. It's dark at 8:30 now. Gosh, even I'm staring out the window. I think it's time to go home. Okay, let's make a little game. Let's make 10 times a regular room. Okay, so let's see if it works. So I can move forward. Oops, I can give it keyboard focus. Move it forward. I can move it up. I can move it over. Oops. Down. Oh, down doesn't seem to work. I might have a logic error there. Oh, that's totally messed up. Okay, so I've got J and K. So anyway, we've got bugs. We can fix bugs. We know how to debug bugs. But anyway, so I think that's all I want to show you tonight. You can imagine how you can add the edit button and the score, but it's getting late. So let me check out my code here, and then we'll just sort of do a recap and yeah, move Pac-Man around the board. I'll push this out too. Okay, so what have we seen tonight? I hope that you've seen things that you can apply to your project. Yours will be different. You won't be handling keyboard input most likely. You could use something like a deck panel to have one, right? And I think you can sort of conceive of that. But I hope you've seen like how to handle a click event and how you need to structure your programs so that you've got your widgets around when your listeners need them. just things like that. And I guess I hope you've seen what it's like to develop in GWT. The sort of the ease of use of writing your client-side code, sort of what errors to expect, how to debug things, how to use all of that. I sort of don't know how to, teach you this otherwise than showing you, and I hope this was useful, and I appreciate you guys sticking with me through it, and we got a cute little Pac-Man game out of it. So I think that's all I've got. Any questions about what you've seen tonight? Yeah.
In the client, when you create your async variable, why is that final? Because I didn't have mine final. I was working.
The
with mine.
variable itself isn't final. Yeah. Okay. So let me go find an example of that. Like in the player, I don't think do I have any finals in here. No, I don't. Maybe in the builder, not the builder, the editor. So async, anonymous inner classes in Java. Yeah, I don't have. Actually, I don't have.
I didn't see you do a final.
Final. So I guess none of these. So fields tend to be final. If it's like parent, for instance, should be final here because it never changes. So like, stuff that data that's passed in the constructor and never changes. So like the parent, the parent and the service should both be final. Everything else gets initialized via the constructor, but because it's not in the constructor, the compiler isn't smart enough anyway. But in anonymous inner classes, like what?
Yeah, think of it. So you made service final, right?
Yes. So service
why
is a
is
field.
service final?
It doesn't have to be final. So it's final. You guys seen functional programming? Okay. So mutable state is problematic. Some people go and say mutable state is bad, but it's a fact of life. We have state, it needs to get shared, it can change. You want to minimize the amount of mutable, changeable state that changes, because it's harder to reason about, right? So, like, for instance, I know that just like the design of my class, I'm going to pass in the parent, and the level editor's parent is never going to change. I'm going to codify that. I'm going to assert that by having the file keyword. Because it's like, hey, listen, it's just passed in the constructor. That's what it is. It's never going to change. Because stuff that can change is hard to reason about. And maybe in one context, you assume, you sort of say, well, the value of this mutable field should should be blah, but you never really know it. And so then one of the things that or because you don't know it because, well, it can be changed. It is mutable. Somebody else might change it out from underneath you. And that can make code, brittle and can break. So like I try to make, fields final whenever I can. And actually, really, these widget fields should be final, are effectively final. It's just the way I structured the code because I put like the actual creation of the object inside here. The compiler won't let me do it. So like, even though it won't let me make it final because it says, well, it might not have been initialized because the compiler isn't smart enough to know that create row and column panel is only called in the constructor. So that's why the fields are final. The other thing, and I'm afraid I don't have, I think I deleted the example of it, is that an anonymous inner class, so if you have a method of an anonymous inner class, if it references a parameter of its outer method or a variable in its outer method, that parameter or that variable must be declared as final. And this is because of what the magical syntax really does. So, okay, so let's say I have, I don't care, string foo equals whatever. And so like in here now I want to say, foo dot toString, whatever. It's complaining that foo is accessed from within inner class. It needs to be declared final. This is because underneath the covers, if you go and decompile the bytecode for this, what's really created here is another Java class that has some name like $1 that implements click handler and has a constructor that takes a string. When that class is actually instantiated, foo is passed in. Foo is passed in, so you've got this object that then has the value of foo set. Oh, and the constructor sets a field of the anonymous inner class to have that value. Because this object is already created and there's no linkage between this object here and the method outside it, if the method were to later change foo to be bar, the inner class wouldn't know. And so then it gets funny. So when they added this language feature, when they added anonymous inner classes, they're like, nope, it's got to be final. That's the way it is, and it's kind of too late for me to go into more detail. But yes, you'll find that, and the compiler and IntelliJ will say, hey, this needs to be final, and that's why. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Thanks for sticking with me. I hope it was informative. Have a great week, everybody. We've got the final exam next week, so there won't be lecture, there won't be any pair programming or code cutters or anything like that. I'll have some final words after the final exam, and then that'll be it. We'll sign each other's yearbooks, and they'll play I Hope You Had the Time of Your Life, and then we'll, I don't know. Oh yeah, I mentioned the final last week. I'll reiterate it here for anybody who watched the entire recording just to find out. There are two parts to it. There's a written part, which is essentially like your quizzes. I think there's like 8 questions or something like that, and they're like the quiz questions. And so to prepare for that, it's open book, open note, not open device. Which I feel bad because it's like, you might be forced to sacrifice some trees, but print up the 4 up the slides.
So you can print out all the slides you want.
I'm trying to think. Hey, to be safest, you should probably have everything.
Not that we'll need it. But...
Yeah, you won't need every single page. There might be a couple that are useful. I won't tell you which ones they are because I don't know. But I think my advice for preparing is a couple of things. It's week 7. If you don't know it by now, you're not going to learn it all by cramming. I think you're all, you're not sophomores in high school. You know that. It'll be like the quizzes, and so then there's sort of a certain level of detail that and it's the kind of things that you should, after doing your projects, you ought to be familiar enough with. The final exam is worth what? 12 points? Is that right? Yeah, 12 points. What? I'm sorry, 12%, 12 points. Your final project is worth like 14 or 16. So use that as a guide in terms of investing time in the project or investing time in studying for the final exam. You'll be better served by spending as much hours on projects than you will in the final exam. And that's it. And so for the first part. Second part is an oral part. That's all I'm going to say about it. I've done it every year for like 14 years now, so and it's fine. But make sure to freshen your breath before coming to class. Okay. During the it's the same class time, same class place. We'll be here at 6 o'clock next week. Have a great week, everybody. See you later.
So I tried